Yeah, I like your kartal. They're really good. Hare Krishna. Good morning. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Dham. We will begin by singing a traditional bhajan uh, composed by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, whose disappearance day was yesterday. And then after that, we will start with our daily study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravana Chari Yamuna Tiravana Chari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Kala Chanji Radha Kala Chanji Radhe. Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhe. Jayo Jagannath, Jayo Jagannath, Jayo Baladeva, Jayo Subhadra. Jayo Gauranitai, 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 Jayo Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Go. Okay, before we start, we will do Mangala Charana. Then we will start with 8th canto. Let me see which was this. 3rd chapter, text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can chant maybe together. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we will begin a new chapter today from the 8th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you see your Bhagavatam books, you will see that at the beginning of every chapter, there is a chapter summary. This chapter summary, Srila Prabhupada put, this is actually from the commentary of his spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur summarizes the entire chapter. So every time you read the Bhagavatam, there is a chapter summary. So let's try to read that as well, so we understand what is going on as we begin a new chapter. So in your study of the Srimad Bhagavatam, whenever you begin a new chapter, please try to, if possible, also read the chapter summary before you begin. Perhaps we can take turns. I can start with the first paragraph, and as the microphone comes in, then we can start. All of you can take turns with reading. So I'll start. In this chapter, the prayers of Gajendra, the king of the elephants, are described. It appears that the king of the elephants was formerly a human being known as Indradyumna, and that he learned a prayer to the Supreme Lord. Fortunately, he remembered that prayer and began to chant it to himself. First, he offered his respectful obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because of his awkward position in having been attacked by the crocodile, he expressed his inability to recite prayers nicely. Nonetheless, he tried to chant the mantra and expressed himself in appropriate words as follows.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the cause of all causes, the original person from whom everything has emanated. He is the root cause of this cosmic manifestation, and the entire cosmos rests in him. Yet he is transcendental, for he does everything in relation to the material world through his external energy. He is eternally situated in the spiritual world in Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan, where he engages in his eternal pastimes. The material world is a product of his external energy or material nature, which works under his direction. It is thus that creation, maintenance, and annihilation takes place. The Lord exists at all times. This is extremely difficult for a non-devotee to understand. Although the transcendental Supreme Personality of Godhead is perceivable by everyone, only the pure devotees perceive his presence and activities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely free from material birth, death, old age, and disease. Indeed, if anyone in this material world takes shelter of him, he also becomes situated in the transcendental position. For the satisfaction of the devotee, Paritranaya Sadhunam, the Lord appears and exhibits his activities. His appearance, disappearance, and other pastimes are not all material. One who knows this secret can enter the kingdom of God. In the Lord, all opposing elements are adjusted. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart. He is the control of everything. He is the witness of all activities, and he is the original source of all living entities. Indeed, all living entities are parts of him, for he is the origin of Mahavishnu, who is the source of the living entities within this material world. The Lord can observe the activities of our senses, which can work and achieve material results because of his mercy. Although he is the original source of everything, he is untouched by any of his byproducts. In this way, he is like gold mine, which is source of gold in ornaments and yet is different from the ornaments themselves. The Lord is worshipped by method prescribed in Pancharatras. He is the source of our knowledge, and he can give us liberation. Therefore, it is our duty to understand him according to the instructions of devotees, in particular the spiritual master. Although for us the mode of goodness is covered, by following the instructions of saintly persons and spiritual master, we can be freed from material clutches.
The self-effulgent material form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is adored by non-devotees. His impersonal form is adored by those advanced in spiritual knowledge, and his feature as the localized supersoul is appreciated by the yogis. But his original form as a person is understood only by devotees. That Supreme Personality of Godhead is competent to dissipate the darkness of conditioned soul. Though through his life, through his instruction in Bhagavad Gita, he is the ocean of transcendental qualities and can be understood only by liberated persons freed from the bodily concept of life. By this causeless mercy, the Lord can rescue the conditioned soul from the material clutches, enable him to return home, back to Godhead, to become his personal associate. Nonetheless, a pure devotee does not aspire to go back to Godhead. He is simply satisfied with executing his service in material world. A pure devotee does not ask anything from Supreme Personality of Godhead. His only prayer is to be freed from the material conception of life and to be engaged in Lord's transcendental loving service.
In this way, the king of elephants, Gajendra, offered prayers directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead without mistaking him for one of the demigods. None of the demigods came to see him, not even Brahma or Shiva. Rather, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, seated on the Garuda, personally appeared before him. Gajendra, by lifting his trunk, offered obeisances to the Lord, and the Lord immediately pulled him from the water along with the crocodile who had captured his leg. Then the Lord killed the crocodile and thus rescued Gajendra.
Jai. Okay, the verse for today. So I think I have to do 7 verses and the focus verse is text 1. So let's read the verses and then we will start text 1. So
Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, Therefore, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indrayamna and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna.
Text 2. The king of the elephants, Gajendra, said, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Person, Vasudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Because of him, this material body acts due to the presence of spirit, and he is therefore the root cause of everyone. He is worshipable for such exalted persons as Brahma and Shiva, and he has entered the heart of every living being. Let me meditate upon him.
The Supreme Godhead is the supreme platform on which everything rests, the ingredient by which everything has been produced, and the person who has created and is the only cause of this cosmic manifestation. Nonetheless, he is different from the cause and the result. I surrender unto him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is self-sufficient in everything.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, by expanding his own energy, keeps this cosmic manifestation visible and again sometimes renders it invisible. He is both the supreme cause and the supreme result, the observer and the witness in all circumstances. Thus he is transcendental to everything. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead give me protection.
In due course of time, when all the causative and effective manifestation of the universe, including the planets and their directors and maintainers are annihilated, there is a situation of dense darkness. Above this darkness, however, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I take shelter of His lotus feet.
An artist on stage being covered by attractive dresses and dancing with different movements is not understood by his audience. Similarly, the activities and features of the supreme artist cannot be understood even by demigods or great sages, and certainly not by those who are unintelligent like animals. Neither the demigods and sages nor the unintelligent can understand the features of the Lord, nor can they express in words His actual position. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead give me protection.
And the last one for today, yeah.
Renunciants and the great sages who see all the living beings equally, who are friendly to everyone and who flawlessly practice in the forest the vows of brahmacharya, vanaprastha and sannyasa, desire to see all auspicious lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. May that same Supreme Personality of Godhead be my
destination. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we will do the verse for today. The Sanskrit. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjanmani Anushikshitam Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjanmani Anushikshitam Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjanmani Anushikshitam. Please chant. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjanmani Anusikshitam. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjanmananusikshitam. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi Jajapa Paramam Japyam Pragjanmanas Anusikshitam. Okay, we can do the word for word. Synonyms. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha. We can do it together if possible. Shri Badarayani Ruvacha. Shri Sukadev Goswami said, Evam, thus, Vyavasitaha, fixed. Buddha. for concentration. Manaha, the mind. Hridi, in consciousness or in the heart. Jajapa, he chanted. Paramam, a supreme. Japyam, mantra he had learned from great devotees. Prag Janmani, in his previous birth. Anusikshitam, practiced. Translation and purports by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. Thereafter, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous birth as Indradyumna and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. Purport. Such remembrance is described in the Bhagavad Gita 6.43 to 44. Tatratam buddhisam yogam labate purvadehikam yatate chatato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana purvabhyasena te naiva hiriyate hi avashopi saha. In these verses, it is assured that even if a person engaged in devotional service falls down, he is not degraded, but is placed in a position in which he will, in due course of time, remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As explained later, Gajendra was formerly King Indradyumna, and somehow or other in his next life he became king of the elephants. Now Gajendra was in danger, and although he was in a body other than that of a human being, he remembered the stotra he had chanted in his previous life. Yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kurunandana. To enable one to achieve perfection, Krishna gives one the chance to remember him again. I'll read that line once again. To enable one to achieve perfection, Krishna gives one the chance to remember him again. This is proved here, for although the king of the elephants, Gajendra, was put in danger, this was a chance for him to remember his previous devotional activities so that he could immediately be rescued by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is imperative, therefore, that all devotees in Krishna consciousness practice chanting some mantra. Certainly, one should chant the Hare Krishna mantra, which is the Maha Mantra or great mantra, and also one should practice chanting Chintamani Prakara Sadmashu or the Nrsimha mantra, Nrsimha Stotra, Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha, Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsimha. Every devotee should practice in order to chant some mantra perfectly, so that even though he may be imperfect in spiritual consciousness in this life, in his next life, he will not forget Krishna consciousness even if he becomes an animal. Of course, a devotee should try to perfect his Krishna consciousness in this life, for simply by understanding Krishna and his instructions, after giving up this body, one can return home back to Godhead. Even if there is some fall down, practice of Krishna consciousness never goes in vain. For example, Ajamila, in his boyhood, practiced chanting the name of Narayana under the direction of his father. But later, in his youth, he fell down and became a drunkard, woman hunter, rogue and thief. Nonetheless, because of chanting the name of Narayana, for the purpose of calling his son, whom he had named Narayana, he became advanced, even though he was involved in sinful activities. Therefore, we should not forget the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra under any circumstances. It will help us in the greatest danger, as we find in the life of Gajendra. The text again, Sri Sukadev Goswami continued. Thereafter, the king of the elephants, Gajendra, fixed his mind in his heart with perfect intelligence and chanted a mantra with which he had learned in his previous birth as Indradyumna, and which he remembered by the grace of Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So, we are continuing from the previous chapter, where we see that Gajendra, Gaja Indra, Gaja means elephant, Indra means king. The king of elephants, Gajendra, went to sport in the lakes. What is the name of the Parvata? Trikuta? Yes? So he went to enjoy, and the entire chapter, more than half the chapter, describes the beauty of this heavenly place. And Gajendra, very nicely, yesterday Mataji explained, Prabhupada Priya Mataji, that, he was the king. So basically he had this attitude, hey, I'm here, move away. Make way for the king. And he was completely careless, reckless as he walked through. And he was sporting in the waters. He quenched his thirst. And then he sprayed some water on his wives. He had many wives. And then he started sporting, playing, uprooting a few lotuses and lilies and having a good time. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, inspired by divine will, a crocodile attacks Gajendra. And Gajendra fights with this crocodile for 1,000 celestial years. 1,000 years. And as he's fighting, his family members are trying to pull him back. But because Gajendra is the animal of the land and the crocodile is the animal of the water, the crocodile gains in strength and Gajendra loses his strength. And then finally Gajendra realizes that I am completely helpless. No one can save me. No one can protect me from this terrible situation. And just like Draupadi gave up both her hands, he gives up. And then in this particular state of helplessness, he starts reciting verses that he remembered in his previous life. So it is very important to learn the prayers from the Srimad Bhagavatam and meditate upon them and recite them, because those mantras can become a part of our consciousness. And then at the right time, Krishna will give us the intelligence by which we can remember them. We also see this with the case of Arjuna. Arjuna, he was despondent in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and when he heard the Bhagavad Gita, and after that he became completely enlivened. He engaged in devotional service according to the direction of the Lord. And then again, when the Lord wound up his pastimes and left this material world, Arjuna again fell despondent, but he was able to remember that which he had heard, and that helped save him from that particular situation where he felt transcendental happiness even though he was physically separated from the Lord. So in the same way, these mantras from the Srimad Bhagavatam and other prayers by great devotees will help us remember, will help us fix our mind on the Supreme Lord. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada, he first starts out with saying that he quotes the Bhagavad Gita, and he tells that Krishna gives us a chance to remember him so that we can achieve perfection. So this is very important, that Krishna, he is here to help us become perfect. As we practicing sadhakas, we will make mistakes, but the Lord does not give up upon us. And it is important here, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that all devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement must chant some mantras. And there are many mantras which are practiced as Gaudiya Vaishnavas. We chant Hare Krishna. We'll see in other sampradayas like the Pushti Marg, they chant Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama. The Madhvas, they chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. The Sri Vaishnavas, they chant Om Namo Narayana. So there are different mantras. And these mantras, and here in the purport Srila Prabhupada also emphasizes, one must try to practice chanting Chintamani Prakrasadmashu. These are prayers chanted by Lord Brahma. Or Prabhupada also says, chant the Nrsimha Stotra, Ito Nrsimha, Parato Nrsimha. And by doing that, this will help us not forget Krishna. So this is Rupa Goswami. He tells all the rules and regulations are always, they are kinkara or servant of this one rule, that is to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Satatam Kirtayantoma, always chant my glories, remember me, become my devotee. And when we continue to do that, we attain a stage what is known as Samadhi. Here we'll see that Maharaj Indradumna, he's attained this remembrance by the grace of the Lord, something that he had learnt in his previous life. So, if you look at this verse, Evam Vyavasito Buddhya Samadhaya Manohridi. Evam means he fixed his buddhi, intelligence. Vyavasita means to become fixed. And he fixed his buddhi or intelligence on Samadhaya Manahridi, and he concentrated his mind within the heart. So how to understand this verse? So Vyavasita means fixed. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. That one must remain fixed, Vyavasayatmika. So, evam vyavasito buddhya, fixed in his intelligence or buddhi. Buddhi means fixed in his goal. That now I've gone through life, everything is over, I am completely helpless, there is nothing that can save me. Now is the time. And he fixed his intelligence on his goal. That's the Supreme Lord. So, if we can try to practice that on a daily basis without waiting for a calamity to strike, that would be better. But if we don't, then Lord also has his own ways to bring us to that perfect stage. So, here, and Samadhaya Manohridi. So, Gajendra concentrated his mind in the heart. So, in the heart, or that is where the feelings are. So, you can say, I'm chanting with feelings. So, Krishna consciousness is remembrance of the Lord with great affection. So, Gajendra started remembering the Lord with great feelings and affection. So, this is very, very important. When we chant, we shouldn't be chanting to complete our rounds. We should be chanting with great feeling. This is the most important thing. I heard this one analogy by His Grace Hari Parshad Prabhu, where he was saying, when you are hungry, if someone gives you 2 truckloads of popcorn and someone gives you a nice plate of Rajbhog Prasad with rice, dal, sabji, rotis, beautiful pakodas, chutney, sweet rice, some nice refreshing drinks, would you accept that? or would you accept a huge truckload of popcorn? Which one would you accept? The feast? Anyone wants like popcorn here? No one? So in the same way, when we are chanting here, so here Bhagavatam is saying, Samadhaya Manohridi, that he fixed his mind on his affection for that Lord. So when we are chanting, are we chanting so that we are feeding popcorn, or are we really offering our heart to the Lord as we are chanting? So this is something that we can learn from Gajendra. And better that we learn to practice this as sadhakas in our daily life versus waiting for a calamity to strike. And so this is one thing that is very, very important. And then the second part of the line of the verse says, Jajapa Paramam Japyam. Jajapa means he chanted this Paramam Japyam, Prag Janmani Anushikshitam. So Shikshitam means practice. Anusikshitam means to practice every day with great attention. Prag Janmani. So in his previous birth, perhaps you can show the verse. Prag Janmani Anusikshitam. So in his previous birth, Maharaj Indradyumna, this is not the same Maharaj Indradyumna of Lord Jagannath, this is another great personality from, I believe, the Chola dynasty from South India. And Maharaj Indradyumna was a great devotee, and he remembered his practice from his previous birth. Maharaj Indradyumna, we'll see this in later chapters in this canto, that he was a great devotee, and at one stage he wanted to go back. He was done with his responsibilities, so he went to the forest to practice his bhajan, and at the same time Agastya comes in, and along with his disciples and followers, and Maharaj Indradyumna, he just like, I walked away from all of this and to come to the forest, and again here I'm disturbed. So he was trying to, how do they say, fake it, or make a show cause that I'm busy with meditation, don't disturb me. And the sages, they know the characteristics of someone who are faking. Just like a doctor, just by recognizing the symptoms, they know what the problem is. So an expert devotee, they can tell where a person is in their Krishna consciousness by their behavior, right? By looking at them, they will be able to recognize the symptoms. So Agastya saw, oh, this fellow is behaving like a dull-headed person, like a dull-headed animal, and he cursed him. Okay, you become a dull-headed elephant. But because he had performed so many wonderful acts of devotional service, he was placed in a situation like the heavenly planets, and he enjoyed for quite some time. Krishna also confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. Prapya punya kritam loka ushitva shashvatim sama suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto pijayate. He says this in the 6th chapter, that prapya punya kritam loka, that you will be placed in suchinam shrimatam gehe, in a family which is Suchi and Shrimati. So either aristocratic or quite religious families. You will take your birth where you will continue. So Gajendra was unfortunately, because of the curse, he was placed as a dull-headed animal. But because he had anusikshitam, he had practiced this in Prag Janmani, in his previous life, he remembered this. So this is very important, that we learn to practice on a daily basis, anusikshitam, not just once in a while, but we make this as part of our sadhana, is to practice this process of remembering the Lord. Our society is called the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That means we have to be conscious of Krishna at all the time, not just during certain times of the day. And this is an important aspect that we need to cultivate as sadhakas. And only by practicing that way, then we will become, here in the verse it says, samadhaya manohridi, that one can become established in samadhi. Srila Rupa Goswami, in the Nectar of Instruction, he talks about different stages and how one can reach samadhi. Mataji, since you have the, can you maybe go to text 9 of the, I forget, I should have pulled it up on my screen. Yeah, of Nectar of Instruction. Sure. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So just go to library, come to, yeah, there you go. Click on it, text. No, you clicked on Krishna. Go back. Yeah, click. Go to text 9. Yeah, and click on the, yeah, and come down, and maybe you can search Smarana Dasha. Maybe search here. Just do a Control F, or is it text 8? Oh, text 8. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Can you go back to the previous? Just hit the, oh yes, text 8. This is about the spiritual world. Just come down. Yeah, hit there. That's okay, it's okay. Come down. 6, 7, 8. Yeah, click that. And perhaps since you just do a Control F, and then type Smarana in there. S-M-A-R. Yeah. R-A-N-A. Yeah, okay, perfect. Scroll up a little bit more, please. Up. Yes. So in the neophyte stage, perhaps one of you who has the mic. Prabhu, can you read? Yeah.
In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Sravana Dasha, in the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varana Dasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering, recollection, absorption, meditation. Constant remembrance and trance are the 5 items for the progressive Krishna Smarana. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters in the stage of samadhi or spiritual trance. After smarana dasha or samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called Sampati Dasha, the perfection of life.
Sampati Dasha. So here, in one paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explained the entire philosophy of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana expertly. So, Smarana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Sampati Dasha, and so it is important that we cultivate this remembrance of the Lord. International Society for Krishna Consciousness means to become conscious of Krishna in everything that we do on a daily basis. And by doing that, Srila Prabhupada in the purport that we just read, said in the beginning the concentration is not constant and it can be broken. But again, as sadhakas, we have to learn to practice this. And by doing that, a stage will come where we will be able to remember the Lord on a constant basis. So I also wanted to emphasize that when one is able to purify one's intelligence by study of the Shastra, when one is able to purify the mind by the practice of the mantra, and one able to purify the false ego by doing menial service, and by engaging in remembrance, constant remembrance of the Lord, then the practice that follows is very pleasing to the heart. And at that stage, so we see here in Gajendra's situation where he's come to that realization that I cannot enjoy anymore, that Ishvara Bhava is completely gone. I cannot protect myself, so that self-preservation to maintain the body is completely given up. And also he's realized that there is nothing that can protect me, and complete Sharanagati or shelter towards the Lord has happened. So all these things are essential in the practice of one's advancement in Krishna consciousness. And it's better that we try to mold our life in such a way that we can bring that into our life, design our life, versus chasing the shiny object, which will not bring us any happiness. And if we can do that, then we can try to avoid a Gajendra-like situation in our life. But sometimes those things will happen, and when they do happen, then we have to remember the instructions that we have practiced throughout our lives, so that will give us a real solace and happiness. So just want to end with that statement. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I don't know if there are any comments, any corrections, any questions. Yes, Mata.
Hare Krishna. I was just reflecting on this thing of remembering, because as we get older, the memory goes, and sometimes I feel like I forget a lot of things, and sometimes I'll pray, Krishna, like you can make me forget everything else, but at least let me remember you, especially at the time of death. And I'm just thinking like that Gajendra totally forgot Krishna, he forgot everything, but then when there was the need, then it says by the grace of the Lord he was able to remember even something from his past life. So it's a little bit of a reassurance that no matter how senile we get, forget things, we're going to, Krishna's going to help. Like Krishna's there and he helps us remember what we need to remember at the right time. So yeah, it's a little comforting.
Thank you. Krishna is our best friend. So he knows, the best friend knows what is best for you. And that's very wonderful. Srila Prabhupada also quotes Ajamil in the purport again to say that, the Lord never gives up, even though, Ajamil was a drunkard, women hunter, rogue and thief. But he just did some small service. Neha Bikramanasosti Pratyavayo na vidyate Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. So just a little advancement on this path can save us from the greatest of dangers. So thank you for that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for a very nice class. So towards the end you brought this point of different purifications, some by mantra, some by shastra and false ego. I mean menial service by false ego.
Yeah.
Could you repeat that again? And then I had a question, what is by mantra and then which one by shastra?
The mind becomes purified by mantra. The intelligence becomes purified by studying and adherence of Shastra, and the false ego becomes purified by seva. So
is
sadhana,
it seva or menial service? Like
seva and menial service. So seva should be done that with the mindset that, you know, I am the servant. I am doing this to please the Lord. I am not doing this so I have a position, right? So, menial service, it doesn't matter, even you could be, you know, in a very, very high position, but if you're serving with the right mindset, then that is most important. So, but sometimes it becomes challenging, so when you also do some menial service along with that, that can also help us reset, to make sure, oh, we are menial, we are nothing, nobody. But it depends, advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So it's very important that we keep these three things in mind. And when there is complete purification in that stage, when we remember the Lord, when we chant Hare Krishna with that mindset, then we're actually eating Rajbhog Prasad instead of eating popcorn. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much for bringing up this point of menial service to break up our false ego. Actually, I have a realization that earlier I used to do one service and I started feeling like, oh, why I'm doing this service? Everybody else is doing such a nice service and I'm doing this, throwing trash and this and that. So I started, in my heart, I started feeling, you know, how to say, the heen bhavana.
Ishvara Bhava?
Heen bhavana.
Oh, heen Bhava. Oh, meaning, oh, I'm so lowly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something. So how can we understand this? That how we can take it as a, with the right consciousness, not having that negative feeling that, oh, we are like less than others. Because when we are, like myself, when we are in the beginning of our bhakti, so we are looking for prestige. Even in service. And if in the beginning stage of life, if we are engaged in too much menial service, it kinds of hit hard to our false ego. And we kind of fall in the trap of, you know, having this negative feeling. So when should we choose those menial service so that we can save ourselves staying in bhakti, not like having the aversion of not doing that service?
It's a good question. So let me repeat your question. In the beginning, you were able to do some menial service, but then you felt by doing that service, it was, let's say, demeaning, or you felt like, you know, you were not given the due respect that you deserve?
No, I was feeling in my heart. It was not like somebody is not respecting me. I started feeling, oh, I'm a garbage Mataji.
I see.
Just recently, 6 months back.
And the question is, when should we do menial service and when we should not? Like, should we do menial service from the beginning, or should we do when we are advanced? So as a sadhaka, we are always students. I think we should remember that. Even you may be highly advanced, but even if there is a basic class on the Bhagavad Gita, I've read this verse like 1,000,000 times, still the sadhaka never gives up, oh, what is there? I know everything, right? So that mindset to cultivate, that I'm always a student, is very important. And second thing is, I heard this from Vaiseshika Prabhu. He says, you live to be corrected. So we have to One is we should have that mindset that we're doing this for Krishna's pleasure, not our pleasure. And then second thing, we also have to understand that this particular seva somehow has been arranged by the Lord for me so that I can please Him. It's not about the position or the title, because we have to understand what is the motivation of doing this service. Is the motivation to get recognized, or is the motivation to develop love for Krishna? And by doing that service in the right manner, one will slowly understand that Krishna, he notes, right? Srila Prabhupada gave that example of one Mataji who every day brought water from the Yamuna for Radharaman. And it's a very simple service. It's not anything great, but Krishna recognized, and Srila Prabhupada commented that she'll go back to Godhead at the end of this life. So we have to understand that by serving the person that we love, we're doing this. You're a mother, you take care of your children. There are so many things that you do which, are very, very simple, necessary, but you do it because of love. And, cleaning the garbage, it might sound like very simple, but imagine if the garbage is there, it is smelling and, it troubles all the devotees, but you clean the place up, you provide a nice atmosphere for the devotees. It is quite an essential service if you look at it that way. So, and then as far as recognition is concerned, our focus is not to gain respect and recognition of anyone except pleasing Krishna, and Krishna will provide the necessary recognition. In fact, having fame and recognition is actually a curse. If you talk to many devotees who are quite famous in the movement, they kind of feel, oh, this is actually a problem, because anywhere you go, you're surrounded, you just cannot do whatever you want, you're constantly on camera, you're being recorded, so sometimes it's actually a blessing that you don't have all these things and you can just be yourself. I know many celebrities, they move away to different countries just so they can lead a normal life. So I just wanted to add that, it's better we don't chase that shiny object to try to get recognition. Try to do these simple things which actually will give happiness and pleasure to the Lord. And that way we can focus on correcting our attitude and look at, this is something that the Lord has provided to us. And I hope that answers your question, Mataji, or if there's something else, Prabhupada Priya Mataji, can you please?
Hare Krishna. Just expanding on your answer a little bit.
Yes, Mataji.
That sometimes we bring our mundane perspectives into the realm of devotional service, and then we start thinking this is a high service, this is a low service, this is a good service, this is a bad service, this is a respectable service, this is not a respectable service. But actually devotional service is absolute. And the Prabhupada said one time in Vrindavan temple that there's no difference between bathing the black and white marble deities of Krishna and Balaram and cleaning the black and white marble floor of the temple. It's the same. They're on the same level. So a person who's cleaning down on the hands and knees with a cloth, cleaning the floor, is equal to the pujari who's on the altar bathing the deities in the morning, because service is absolute. And then I was thinking that we could actually see menial services as even more intimate, because if you think about it, let's say you have a guest coming to your house, so you're not going to ask them to, clean the bathroom or take out the garbage or something like that, right? You're going to ask some close family member, or maybe you have a close friend who's staying with you, can you help just take this garbage out or something? You're not going to ask some stranger who's just visiting, like that. You lost someone who's very close to you, you're very familiar with and comfortable with to do some difficult job. Yeah, in that way we can see these menial services that we're not just some official guest or acquaintance or stranger, visiting the temple, but we're actually part of the family. Krishna's accepted us as part of his family, very intimate, he's very comfortable with us. He knows he can ask us to do anything and we'll just do it because we love him. And and what he sees is he doesn't, ultimately, it's not what we do, it's how we do it. It's the mood with which we do it. Like Prabhu was saying, that success depends on the attitude of the follower. So, like that, yeah.
Thank you. That was so much better than what I said. Hare Krishna. Okay, I think we can stop. It's already 8:45. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.